With the first beta now over for Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, we finally got to see more about the various classes that are in the game, their abilities, their talents, weapons, playstyle, and their backgrounds. So today, let's talk about everything we know so far about the Psyker. Before we start, we should answer the question, what is a Psyker or Psykinetic as Darktide calls it? Well, the 40k wiki has this to say. A Psyker is an individual of any intelligent species in the Warhammer 40,000 universe who possesses some degree of psychic ability or powers. All Psykers draw their powers from the extra-dimensional realm known as the Immaterium, or the warp that underlines four-dimensional real space and is the source of all psychic energy in the universe. So the Psyker will fulfill the role and need for those who enjoy a bit of magic or sorcery around their character or career. In Darktide, using the power of the warp to seemingly blow the brains in their enemies to kill them and push enemies away with their powers. In the character creation, we got to see a variety of options to choose for the background of your character, giving them a semi-personal backstory detailing their history, where they come from, and how they got to where they are now. And like all the classes, a variety of personalities or the voice actors and actresses to choose from for your run through in Darktide. For weapons, we can see in the beta that the Psyker has access to swords, 4 staves, and also starts with a pistol which acts a little like a shotgun. It lists the 4 sword and staff as unique to the class, suggesting there'll be more weapons on offer and are interchangeable between the other classes as well. Sadly, I wasn't able to access the 4 staff during the beta, so with only the trailer footage to go from, it seems like the staff is a medium to long range weapon. The 4 sword, however, felt like it had less cleave than the normal sword, felt like it did more damage, and had a second ability to allow the Psyker to vent off their warp meter, similar to Sienna in Vermintide. The warp meter, well, it is a meter. It fills up when using and charging your brain burst ability. If it reaches too high, you start taking damage. As you use the warp uses you. One way to reset the meter aside from the 4 sword mentioned before is the F ability called Psykinetic's Wrath, which pushes foes away from around you and resets this warp meter. The pushback seems to have some pretty good range, to be honest, allowing me to clear a path or generally just create some breathing room for me and my allies. The other ability accessible to the Psyker and previously mentioned is called Brain Burst, and it does exactly what it says on the tin, with 2 modes. The first is you hold down a button and after a short duration, a high amount of damage is dealt to the targeted enemy, which usually results in an instant kill. Apart from on bosses and the larger elites such as the Plague Ogrin, they couldn't make it that easy for us. The alternate method allows the player to charge and hold the ability, then switching the targets before blowing their brains out. However, using this second method, whilst you hold the charge, your warp meter continues to fill, so outcomes may vary. The ability was great at being able to take out some of the elites in Darktide, sniping foes such as trappers and flamethrowers from afar to help the team before they could pin them down. However, it felt wasted when using that ability on the common or uncommon denizens, especially with how much it built up your warp meter. Just like in previous Fatshark games, each class has its own passive skills and talents which alter both the passive and active abilities of the class or career. For the Psyker, they have 3 main passives from the get-go. These are Warp Siphon, Inner Tranquility, and Kinetic Presence. Warp Siphon gives a plus 3% stackable bonus to the damage for 20 seconds after killing an enemy with the Brain Burst ability. The effect can be stacked up to 4 times, allowing for some decent increase in damage output. However, due to the charge up time for Brain Burst and the Warp meter, I wasn't able to maintain full stacks for too long. However, this could be more of my own ability rather than the class itself. Inner Tranquility reduces the peril you generate by 10%. The final passive is an aura. All careers have access to an aura of some sort. The Psyker's Kinetic Presence ability gives all allies in coherency a plus 10% damage modifier against elite enemies, meaning those who stay together survive together or deal big damage to elites. Talents for the Psyker boost their toughness, improve the aura coherencies, and improve the ways in which you get warp charges, with Psychic Communion giving the player a 5% chance to get a token whenever you or an ally in coherency kills an enemy. The Psyker itself, it was fun to play. It felt very much like a support character, able to help buff allies with its aura passives, whilst providing some nice crowd control with its push ability. Out of all the careers, it felt like it had the widest arc and force behind it, allowing allies to regroup or just creating some of that breathing room. Its active ability Brain Burst allowed for sniping of high value targets such as elites, and a decent damaging ability on larger foes and bosses, but like I said before, it felt very wasted when trying to use it on more common mobs, meaning I ended up saving it and not using it as much as I probably probably would have liked to. When it came to the combat, the Psyker best performs in melee, or at least in the beta it did, due to the pistol being a short-range shotgun. I found myself actually using this gun sparingly and using the sword or 4 swords for the most of the time. Even then, it was very fragile. I found myself going down more on the Psyker than any other career in the game, maybe benefiting from better range options if possible on the game's release. The sword though, it still felt good and were able to deal the damage out. Timing blocks was important, and using that push ability alongside the warp push to keep enemies staggered whilst hacking through the horde. For those who enjoy the wizard style of gameplay or support, the Psyker is really going to feel your need and be right up your alley. So what did you think? If you have played the Darktide beta, did you enjoy playing the Psyker? And if you haven't played the beta, are you excited for the Psyker, or the Psychonetic as Darktide calls it? Please let me know in the comments below. If you want to know some more about everything we know so far about Darktide, there is a link to that video here. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.